as time goes on and our energy centers start to open. Based upon where we're at in the evolution of our soul, it's different for everyone. But as the fourth center starts to get stimulated, that would be the heart center, energy starts to come up into that center, and we start to recognize that we are more than just a human, that we actually have some influence over our creation by the way that we think and feel. And so then again, that allows more energy. What is enlightenment? It's more light getting into the field, and we're the ones that actually allow that.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Wetzel, and I am privileged to have Robin Jelinek with me today. And Robin is a best-selling author, and she also channels a group of consciousness called the Athena Group. Athena. I can't say Athena. I just made that word up. Athena Group. So, Robin, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Lisa.
I'm really excited to talk to you because we're going to focus on not only the Athena Group, but also a little bit about Kundalini energy, about our energy centers, a little bit about light language, and my favorite topic, telepathy.
Okay.
So thank you again for joining me.
Thank you.
So can we start off the conversation by just talking a little bit more about the Athena Group, who they are, how they assist you? How did this all come about?
Yeah. Backing way up into my early 20s, I was always on a spiritual pursuit. I just liked reading about it. I was very fascinated with a lot of different authors, a lot of different practices, all those types of things. And then kind of going through those years with raising my children, just doing a lot of reading and study along those lines of topics. And then when I reached my early 40s and my children went off to college, I delved into a little bit more practices. I started to do some breath work, and there were some books that I read that I was drawn to that had some ancient teachings. I think I've talked about that book before. I think it was called Ancient Teachings for Beginners by DeLong. I believe that's the author. And it was just some things that maybe back in the day of Jesus that he had actually used to open up his energy centers. And so I started to do some of those practices. At the time when I had my Kundalini awakening in my early 40s, and I'm 65 now, I thought that maybe the practices had contributed to it. But I think what really happens is when we're drawn into spirituality, and a lot of people that you would talk to would know what I'm talking about when I say there's this insatiable need to know more. It's like you just can't get enough of it once you get on that path. And I really believe that is connective to the Kundalini energy. I think there's already a stir of that energy, and that's the thing that's actually enacting that insatiable desire that we have to be connected, to know more, and to learn. And so there's a little bit of that energy stirring in our three lower energy centers. We call that the egoic state, but actually that's just the third dimensional state. The three lower energy centers are representative of lack, not enoughness, competition, all of the types of things of survival is what we have to work with when we first come in here as a human. As time goes on and our energy centers start to open, based upon where we're at in the evolution of our soul, it's different for everyone. But as the fourth center starts to get stimulated, that would be the heart center, energy starts to come up into that center, and we start to recognize that we are more than just a human, that we actually have some influence over our creation by the way that we think and feel. And so then again, that allows more energy. What is enlightenment? It's more light getting into the field, and we're the ones that actually allow that. So depending on how open those energy centers are, that's dependent on how much light is actually allowed into you by you. So there's nobody standing and judging, nobody's denying you connection to the light. It would be you holding something in those energy centers that was opposite of it. So you maybe lived your life and you don't like some ways about you and the way that you felt. Maybe you're controlling, maybe you're full of rage, maybe you're angry. Could be any one of those emotions. And then you decide that you don't like yourself and your free will choice to feel that emotion, because that's what you're actually doing. You're picking an emotion to send out as a signal to the divinity part of yourself for what you prefer in your experience, when maybe you're having an experience that you don't prefer. So that attachment to it, that condemnation and judgment of the feeling, is a very separating thing from our source. So the source part of you loves you unconditionally. It's simply wanting to match you in what you hold for yourself, in what it holds for you, in the love of you. And so once you become a lover of yourself in every emotion that you have, that flow of the divine just comes right in automatically. It's a very natural flow that would come to you. So I know I veered off a little bit. Maybe you can write me again. Sometimes that happens. This is a topic that can go in so many different areas at one time.
Mm-hmm. And so what is the Athena Group?
Athena, in truth, is a group, a collective of consciousnesses. Some have lived before and some have not. They don't spend a lot of time. In the beginning, there was some naming and those types of things, just like we're named. But who are we without our name? We don't really know. We think we know. We're trained into thinking we know who we are by the parents we have and the lives that we live. But actually, at the core, we are a fractal of God. That's what we all are. And that's really what the Athena Group is. And I guess that's the way I would answer that question.
Okay. How did they guide you, assist you?
Mm-hmm. I think they've been there for a while before I actually was capable of transmitting or receiving. You talked about telepathy. I never really thought about the way that I was receiving information, that it is telepathic. It's a knowing. A knowingness, and that's what telepathy is. It's not necessarily hearing words. It's just something that moves through you in the way that you feel, and you know exactly by what you feel what is meant by what's coming. So that's how channeling works for me. And when I speak light language, that's the same type of feeling that I get. So light language doesn't feel any different than when I'm channeling the group. It's the same type of energy. So in some sense, when we talk about telepathy coming, every person is going to become a channel, which is a person who knows. Someone who can have an exchange with someone and not necessarily understand the words, but a knowingness flows into you very quickly of what it is that is being exchanged.
Okay, so explain to us what you do. I mean, like, what's the whole big picture of who you
Yeah.
are, what you provide, and how you do it?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because I used to wonder why I had the Kundalini awakening the way that I did. It was spontaneous. It was a partial rise. It veered off. I went through the dark night of the soul because of that. It wasn't a fully accelerated rise all at one time. Then I experienced that energy coming down through the top of my head a couple of years later. So I really had to learn pretty much on my own how to navigate everything with that energy when I found myself in kind of disarray for a couple of years. And so at the time, I didn't really realize that this would be actually what I teach. It's what I do. I realized what I had done that had actually activated that energy, that I had lightened up a lot of the information or emotional base that was held in my energy centers. And in doing that, when they talk about thinning the veil, that's actually what I would call the veil. That thing that's held between us and us is actually a thing that's denying the entrance of the light. So as I went through that process of starting to recognize where I didn't love myself, where I was condemning and judging, and keeping track of everything that I did, basically, and life wasn't fun during that time. And certainly, I thought this is almost an insurmountable task to be perfect all the time and to like everybody, even when they're not maybe for you. So I was on this path of being the best possible person that I could ever be, and constantly disappointed with the person that I was. Then as time went on and I started to get the understanding that that's not what it's about. We're here to be authentically true to ourselves and exactly the way that we feel and the people that we choose to spend our time with and what we choose to do in our life, and to love ourselves unconditionally in those choices. And when I started doing that, I started to become that person that I really was striving to be, but without me efforting, without me even trying. I just noticed these very good changes where some of the judgment I had for others or some of the thoughts and feelings that I used to gravitate towards that I didn't like in myself, they did go away. They did improve, but it was never by me changing myself. It was by me surrendering to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you teach people how to do this?
That's what I do. Yeah. So I do hour and a half to 2 hour Kundalini activations where we go in and out of each energy center and we find out just exactly what's held in those centers. When the client comes to me, I very much put on the jacket that's them. So I have a pretty good feeling or knowing through the channeling process that I do exactly what they're holding, what actually has gone on in their life. And then we bring them through that process. The group assists me me in helping to get them to love themselves, get them to understand why they had chosen to feel the way that they do, why their life has unfolded the way that it's unfolded, and get them to a very accepting and surrendering state where, in fact, they just start feeling better. They start actually allowing themselves that flow of energy back in. And then at the end of that session, we go through a practice, one that I used that was very effective nightly to assist them in continuing that work and getting to know themselves after they leave the session, and lightening up what is held within, so that the rise of that energy is a natural thing. Once we're not holding a lot of negativity, that Kundalini energy will rise up the spine. Why do people want it? Well, it's a very magnetizing energy. It's something that can cause you to be very spreadable very quickly. So you're very connective in any type of work that you would be doing because of that energy. It actually accelerates manifestation speed because you're wide open. You begin to vibrate at a much higher rate. So things come to you very quickly in your experience in a way that you want to feel. And, people have to understand that the enacting of that energy doesn't remove your job or what you would call your work, if you will. You are going to view yourself in all the ways that you've condemned yourself. So you have to remember to do it as an observer rather than as an attacher to that thing that you are seeing about yourself that comes up. And so I would say that in these activation centers that I do, what it does is it accelerates that process for them. It pushes them in that direction very quickly. And then they will have to move through experiences, things that they're holding in them that are likened to the way that they have felt. They can get a barrage of those experiences, and to do it in knowingness and in appreciation and gratitude for what you're seeing. The dark night of the soul is a condemning and judging energy of not liking yourself and some of the things that are being shown to you. But really, when you are asking for a Kundalini awakening, that's what you're actually wanting to have happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna back you up just a bit. I probably should have started with this question. But okay, so I'm not really familiar with Kundalini energy. And when I associate or when I hear Kundalini energy, I associate it with yoga because Kundalini yoga, awakening your Kundalini energy through yoga practices. So when you're talking about Kundalini energy, are you referring to the same thing that yoga practices are talking about?
Yeah, there are many ways that people activate their Kundalini. They do it through thought, they do it through breath, they do it through yogic poses. Anything that applies pressure to those energy centers has the ability to increase the amount of energy that's coming into them, and the vibration starts to rise. And therefore, the Kundalini energy that's placed at the base of the spine of every human can be enacted by that. So the particular path that anyone will take will be something that they are individually drawn to. None of them are right or wrong, good or bad. And that's why when I am working with people, I don't give them any definite instructions that they have to do, because I think it's really important that you do what you're drawn to do. There's something innately within you that knows the right path, that knows what actually is going to be connective and what works for you. And so whatever that is that you choose, I'm familiar with Kundalini yoga. And once again, that is a lot of breath work and a lot of individual chakra focus, which is can be done either through yogic practice or can be done through breath work, and it could be done through say sessions such as the way that I do them and others do them.
Okay, I'm gonna break this down again. Okay, so like when I get a visualization of, like, when I see a drawing of Kundalini energy, and it looks like this. And it looks like it starts at the root chakra, and it looks like the snakes or a twisting energy that goes up through each chakra.
Yes.
Now, meaning that the chakras are the energy systems in our body, for people that don't know what the chakra is. So again, I'm getting down to the basics of this. So when you're trying to ignite this Kundalini energy, does it starts at the root chakra? So do you have to activate your root chakra and then the energy starts moving up? Do all of your chakras need to be balanced and functioning correctly for the energy to continue to come up?
Yeah. So that energy can be enacted if you're not balanced, and it is a powerful force that rips through you when that energy gets activated, and it can be activated through your intent. And it doesn't matter whether you are a purified person, or someone that maybe has a lot of negativity within you. Maybe you're a person that wants to use it even for something that would not serve humanity. Let's use that term. We are creators of our experience. And so any type of a focus in a direction that you're wanting to call to yourself, the universe is not judging you. It's not condemning you. It's not deciding that this person is good enough to have it and this other person isn't. That's just not how it works. So if you are having focused intent on your Kundalini energy at the base of your spine, that's primarily where people start to focus on it. It eventually, through that intentional focus, it will rise. If you are a person that is doing that and you are not familiar with your chakras, how they work, or the emotional base that you might be holding in those energy centers, you could still enact your Kundalini, and it could be a very bumpy ride for you. It can be a little painful as it comes up because it will hit blocks in the body that are difficult for that energy to penetrate through. So it'll keep backing up, trying to hit it. You can get it veering off, which I had happen in the heart center. So I had a lot of congestion of emotion in that center. So when the energy tried to rise straight up, it kept butting up. I kept feeling it backing up and hitting that center, not being able to penetrate it. And then eventually it veered off. And it was 2 years later where I wasn't even aware that it actually could come down through the crown or the top of the head. So I've tried to do a lot of research on that. I've not actually found a lot of information where the energy descended on people through the top of their head. It's always been my understanding that the focus started at the base. I wasn't focused on the top of my head when this happened, but I think because I had the partial rise, this was maybe just an easier entrance for that to come down. Then it opened up the upper centers. And after that, my life really balanced out. Things got a lot more better after that. So in answer to your question, it's what I do and what I really try to help people with, because I went through a dark night of the soul and it isn't fun. Luckily, I wasn't working at the time and I had raised my kids. So I was right at that age in my mid 40s where I had the time and I didn't have to be anywhere. And I had some difficult days, lots of emotion outpouring with no basis for it, nothing going on in my life that would be a cause for it, just an emptying or outpouring of emotion. All of my things that I normally would enjoy kind of lost their luster. It's like everything was dying. Everything was flat and not attractive to me to do like it was before. And so I was but if I were a professional person like many people are today, I don't know how I would have navigated that time and been able to interact with people and go to work and keep driving myself the way some people do. So primarily what I do in the work that I do with Kundalini energy is I try to really help them discover inch by inch what it is that they're holding in those energy centers so that they can very gradually start to release some of that so that when they get the rise, they don't get a big expression of negativity all at once, because that energy will blow through by your intent and your will, and it will push out all of the negativity that you're holding in those energy centers that are denying you from knowing yourself and denying the flow from entering you. That's really the purpose of that energy. So it's not really concerned about you so much as a human and how you're going to handle it. It's concerned about itself, just the way you are. It's an individual consciousness. It's one that every human has. You're an individual consciousness. You're looking out for yourself. This energy is kind of looking out for itself. It wants to express through you. And the only way that it can have full access to you, to work alongside of you as a human, is to remove some of the entrapments or the perceptions and beliefs that you're holding that are keeping you at a lower vibration. You have to come up and vibrate at the rate that this energy vibrates at in order to allow it to work alongside of you in your experience. So that's really what the goal of Kundalini energy is. There's been a lot of people that I've come into contact with who have activated that energy and not done any self-observation or looking at what they have stored in their energy centers, and they've found themselves in a upheaval in relationships, in work, in emotional content. And so I've worked with people along the way with every level of satisfaction and dissatisfaction with that energy. And I don't like to tell people that. I don't want people to be afraid of it, because obviously this is a good thing. It's not a negative, but it's something that needs to be delicately handled. It's not something to take lightly or to not realize what you're really inviting. Some people say, I just wish it would go back. I wish it never would have happened. And it's like a genie out of the bottle. You can't put it back.
Mhm.
Once that energy is enacted within you, it will go on to open up 122 energy centers that most people aren't even aware of, that are located inside the body. So you talked about that energy going up that spine with the 7 energy centers that we have awareness of. Those are kind of our responsibility as a human in the life that we're feeling, and they're the sending and receiving devices to the divinity part of us in how we're feeling. Every moment, those centers are reacting. You know yourself, when you go to the grocery store and someone treats you sharply, there's going to be an emotional response. That's how the chakra is responding. It's sending, I don't like that. I don't want that in my experience. And so the divinity part of you is receiving you and then cultivating new experiences based upon what you're sending out in the way that you feel the moment that you have a feeling. The problem is, as a human holds something as a truth, as they start to condemn or judge maybe the checkout clerk that made them feel that way, not recognizing they already had that feeling, and that's why they got the clerk that treated them that way. So everything that's coming into our experience is actually an attractive thing, or something that we are bringing to ourselves by emotions that we already have in those centers from past life, from lineage, and then perhaps something that we have experienced in this life. And so you need to be fully accountable. You need to really accept that every single thing that you're coming into experience with, and how it makes you feel, is relating to an emotional base that you already have in you. That's what's bringing that thing in. When a person thinks there's an outside cause, that person treated me that way and made me feel my way, or they think it's causing it, that way inside of them expands, because the universe will never agree to that. It wants you to know you are the creator of your experience based upon the emotions that you are sending out. And if you think you're going to blame someone else, that energy just expands, and the universe brings barrages of more and more people, circumstances, and things that match the emotion that you're holding. That's what actually occurs.
Okay, so I've got 2 questions for you. First of all, going back to a comment that you made, that something about this energy was separate.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I'm hearing you say this, that this energy is like separate from the soul energy, is, I mean, like,
No, it's a universal energy that every single life force has. Kundalini energy is in everything. And it's folded up and it's compressed. So it's such a powerful, high vibrational energy that when you enter into a third density plane, there's no way that could just be released. It would just blow you up. It's just way too powerful. And so you have to create an expansion within yourself, or start to open the other energy centers to be able to hold more light or more vibration, or that higher vibratory field has to increase in order to embody that energy. And so it's a universal energy. So it's a life force energy. It's what's keeping everything alive. It's aliveness. And a certain amount of it is leaking out because you're alive. But there's so much more that could be being used that could actually enhance your life. So that's how I would explain it. So that energy has the same intent for all life, and that is to fill it, that is to express through it at the highest possible vibrational rate, in satisfaction, in love and excitement, all of the positivity that you can ever imagine. That energy wants to ignite within you and with everything that it is a part of. So, after that energy starts to, you start to open up your upper energy centers, more and more of that energy starts to escape into your field, and you start to manifest quicker. You start to see yourself in new ways. You start to become less encumbered by what people think about you. Maybe perhaps before that you were very worried and that was keeping you in density. Maybe you start to feel like anything's possible, and now you can achieve some financial success that would enable you to maybe live the life that you want to. So then more energy now can reach you, because you're letting go of these dense perceptions that are actually the things that are keeping you in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so every one of us has this Kundalini energy. But what I'm seeing is but it's kind of like held in a little case that's like at the root chakra. And
Yeah.
so what you're saying is that if we can open that case up, then it lets this energy flow the way that it's meant to naturally.
Yes.
But if we have some kind of an emotion, trauma, belief system that is of I'm not going to say a negative nature, because I don't think it's, but maybe something, I believe
Dense,
something, yeah,
dense.
something that's holding us back or keeping us from being able to flow forward in the universal flow, then
Yeah.
it's going to bump up against that energy.
And
I
it will express it. It will actually, as it pushes into that energy, that it's going to dislodge it. So it's actually going to start to express. So
okay.
you're going to start to get mirrors very quickly from the universe. Say you're a person that's been in lack your whole life. Well, then all of a sudden that energy gets enacted within you. You've not really done the observation. You've not really looked at the life you lived, the parents that you had. You haven't really understood why you felt the way that you did. So you just hung on to that and you just believed that lack is the way it is, but you didn't really understand yourself that well in it. But that energy will push, it'll push that lack to the top, and the universe will start collapsing your life in lack. It will start overwhelming you with the emotional feeling that you've had until you release it, until you start to recognize what it is that is keeping you there. It will keep barraging you with experiences.
So how do you help people recognize what's happening and work through? Because I think
Yeah,
lack is a good example, because a lot of people have that belief
yeah.
system.
Well, lots of, first of all, nothing that you feel or nothing that you have ever lived is wrong. And
Right.
none of it really needs to go. Everything needs to be conscious.
Yeah.
So when we are unconscious, when we believe that lack is real, when we believe that we can never get out of it, and as we choose that thought, we become more and more downtrodden. We become more and more deflated in that choice. And that's not because lack is going to be true for us. It's because our universe that we prefer does not have lack in it. So we are all creating an individual universe alongside of our density universe that we're in. So maybe I'm in a lot of lack and I'm sending out signals. I don't have enough. I can't stand this. I can't get a car. I can't blah, blah, blah. And the universe is feeling me in that lack, and it is creating more and more opportunity or energy for wealth, or the means for that to come. Might be a
Mhm.
new partner, might be a business. It might be any number of ways that we ourselves are not expected to figure out, by the way. We're just supposed to surrender to the understanding that we are being received in everything that we're sending. But unfortunately, most people who move to unconsciousness attach to the emotion, and they have no idea that the reason that they're really feeling terrible is that they're separating themselves from their own universe that they've created by the lack. So how can lack be a bad thing? It's not. Lack is actually a good thing when you really see it for what it is. It's being lifted and it's being used as a tool to create for you. And so what I do with people is I teach them that. I get them to understand we don't want to get rid of your lack. Your lack has created so much wealth for you. We just want you to love it. We just want you to get to the point where you start to accept the way that you've lived your life, the way that your parents parented you, the way that your lineage maybe was a part of, that you lived all these things that caused you to draw this conclusion, but now they're doing it in awakeness. Awakeness is your divinity aspect. People say, well, how can I get connected to my divine partner? Wake up. I mean, the minute you are awake and aware of what you feel, you are moving into divinity consciousness, and it has access to you, and your vibration starts to raise, and you get lifted to a higher level of consciousness where lack's not a part of. So what have you really done? Have you policed yourself? Have you worked hard? No. You've just recognized how you've lived, and you've loved yourself in it. And therefore you get lifted to a higher level of consciousness where through flow, all the nice changes that you want to have that you've not been able to do just come flowing right in automatically without any effort.
Mhm. Okay, so what I'm understanding is that Kundalini energy is a good thing, but it can be a little bit of a struggle if you don't know what you're dealing with.
Yes.
So it's not something that people just need to watch a video and say, okay, I'm activating my Kundalini, I'm done.
They might. I
And
mean, I kind of did that. I'm not discouraging anyone from doing something that they're called to do because I feel like humans are wise, whether they know it or not. And look at me. If I had not had the experience I had, I would not be able to assist people in the experiences that they're having. And nobody really knows what that path is. And so what I teach over and over again is follow that path. I don't try to discourage people from doing things that they're called to do, but I do like to inform them through my experience what they might experience.
right, right. Perfect. Okay. So if you're going to do something like activate your Kundalini energy, just be aware of what could lay ahead. And
Yes.
what is it? Oh my gosh, the symptoms of
A dark night of the soul. It's really a dying off of everything
yeah.
that you as a human thought you were.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
And there's, I like that you're saying the dark night of the soul, because that's actually a thing, but a lot of people don't really understand it. And I think, like you said, a lot of us that have gone through this spiritual shifting and changing, um, we can experience depression
mhm.
or dissatisfaction or just not being happy, just not
Well,
really knowing
well,
what direction to go, feeling
people
lost.
they use the terminology enlightenment, and then they use the terminology dark night of the soul. But in reality, those two things are depicting something. Enlightenment is more light getting into you.
Right.
And the dark night of the soul is a denial of light. It's a not loving of yourself in what you're seeing that has created your life. It's you seeing yourself in darkness. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah. 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 So, okay. So now that we've decided that, okay, Kundalini energy is a good thing and we want to try it. So when I come to you and say, okay, Robin, I'm ready for this. What do you do?
Well, I immediately talk to them a little bit ahead of time about what we're going to do. And actually, we're going to go in each one of the energy centers and we're going to find out how they've been creating their life. And then we're going to lead them in a direction of accepting and loving what it is that they have chosen to feel. We're not trying to get rid of anything. In fact, my group and I together try to get people to accept what they believe, but do it in consciousness. So, for example, if you're a person that thinks you have to work really hard because you had two hardworking parents and it worked for them and they were successful and they drilled that into you, and you now have that belief that you have to work really hard, we say, do it. Work hard, but do it in awakeness. Don't do it in the belief that if I don't do this, I'm going to be broke. Do it in the understanding I'm doing what I've been taught to do. That's what I'm doing. So I start to be conscious. I just start to notice everything that I'm choosing to do, but I do it in that awakeness and in that divine consciousness. That's the whole difference between someone being asleep in their experience and somebody being awake. It doesn't mean that you have to change everything about yourself overnight, but it means that you have to embrace and accept what has formed you and do it. And when you do it in awakeness, what will happen is eventually you might be a person that thinks you have to work really hard and it's the only way you're going to get money. And you saw your parents do that. And you might think, you know what, I'm just going to claim that consciously. Yeah, I believe I have to work hard. So I'm just going to go with that. I'm just going to put my head down. And I'm going to work hard because that's what I've been taught and that's what I believe in. So I'm acknowledging it all consciously. All of a sudden, what's going to happen is you're going to start rising out of the density just by being awake, just by claiming the I am this. I am, there it is, the I am presence. I am awake. I am knowing how I am creating in my experience. And it's, I believe I have to work hard. So I am now the divinity aspect, claiming the human in what it is acting on. And so I start to rise in consciousness. The divinity aspect starts to come in to that field and dissipate that energy. And I start to all of a sudden get an opportunity where, you know what, that came to me without having to work hard. That was something that just flowed into my experience that I didn't expect. And then I get a little bit of a belief going on or a perception. You know what? I feel like I'm changing. I feel like I'm just not thinking and feeling the same way that I used to. And I haven't really done anything other than observe myself in the way I used to feel. And this is the golden key, people. Of being awake and observing how you feel in your now moments is what will create your abundance. You don't have to be working hard. You don't have to be believing in yourself. You don't have to change anything, even if you have a lot of negativity surrounding money. If you are at least aware of how you are creating, you are allowing that energy to reach you and you will start to rise out of that level of consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with that. And the thing about it is so hard for people to understand because we're so entrapped in our minds and we're so conditioned to believe if I don't anguish over it or if I don't torture myself with my mind's belief systems, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, one of the effective tools that a person can use is just to claim a thought. So if you have a thought and then you notice how you feel afterwards, that you just say to yourself, thought. That's all you have to say. I just had a thought. That's all I did. And then take a deep breath in and recognize your breath. That's your divinity partner. So I had a thought. There it was. It was negative. And then I take a deep breath and I draw in my divine partner. So I can create and cultivate this practice within myself where I'm sending out signals again, aren't I? Because the universe or the divinity part of you is painted on your skin. And so the moment that you start to be aware, or you start to want to move into mastery, because that's really what we're talking about here, you get assisted in that. It's connected to you in everything. It wants to serve you. It wants to head you in a direction. It doesn't look at anything as good and bad. It doesn't care if you want to stay asleep. But if you start letting it know you'd like to wake up, it's going to assist you in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does light language play a role in this?
Well, we'll come in and explain that. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. Light language is a telepathic communication, and it is something that all humans are eventually going to move to. Robin used to be a little bit afraid that when light language would come, people would be listening in or know every thought that she's thinking. That's not really what it is. It's still an intentional communication. It's you having an intention or an idea that you are wanting to portray to someone, and they automatically receive the knowingness. It's not necessarily being spoken to you in words. However, it will arrive in your language, a knowingness that you could repeat in your words, but it often will come through things like this is light language. Robin knows immediately that what we are saying is that light language can be spoken by every person. Everyone has that ability. It is a universal language that all will be speaking at some point. And then afterwards will come this transmission, like the one she is getting right now. It was a little difficult for her to accept this at first, for her to know that there would be a transmission coming afterwards of exactly what she was being saying. Is she hearing it in words? No. With a Imagine that each and every one of you will be able to go up and speak to someone, even if they were in a differing language, and they will understand exactly what it is that you are transmitting, not by the sounds or the noises you are making, but by the intention, by the love, by the feeling that they are receiving. They will get it in their words and know exactly what was transpiring, you see. So this is exactly what is going to be coming in the future. It is something that we are implementing in the teachings that we are doing. When light language is delivered, it is of a very high frequency. It is stimulant to an aspirant's field. It really helps stimulate their energy centers to cause the vibration of them to rise, and therefore this will become more accessible to them. And it's one of the reasons that we are now offering it in our sessions and in the activations. Yep.
Okay, so how are the energy centers tied into the light language?
There is a what you would call a field or a stream. Let's use that, the best description we could give, that each one of the energy centers is representative of an area of your life. So the heart center would be, of course, representative of relationship. Your throat center would be representative of your communication. Your third eye would be representative of your clarity, your knowing, your connection to your source, and so on. We could go through each one of the energy centers. So in regard to those experiences, the appropriate energy center responds, and it is actually linked to the higher vibrational connecting part of you, and therefore that connection is made that way, you see.
Okay, so our energy centers, I know we have a number of chakras. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about energy centers, are energy centers always labeled as chakras, or are there different forms of energy centers that we're not aware of?
Mm-hmm. Well, they have been referred to as the wheels of life, energy centers, vortexes. There are any number of descriptions in which they have been used for. The energy center itself is when it's in a high functioning state, or saying it's not containing a lot of negativity in the cell or in the center itself, there would be a spin to it, a rapid vibration and a spin. And so as a human would start to maybe accumulate some life experiences that got lodged in there, or they started to hold the negativity instead of releasing it. They're meant to feel and release and know that they've been received, but perhaps they don't have that knowing, and they have started to hold the same thing, and they're getting the same thing over and over again. The center will eventually start to lag or slow. It'll actually slow down. And so then the amount of energy that the divinity part of you can flow through you is then limited by you. It is not done because it is judging you or condemning you in any way. It's limited because of your denial, because of the low frequency that you're holding. And so this is how the centers operate. And so when the center slows enough, and it's at the threat of stopping, it will offload some of the negativity into the center, either above or below it. So now we would maybe have 3 centers that are taking up some of that negativity, and we would have different parts of your life representing the same feeling. So if I had a lot of traumatic experiences in the heart center that made me feel sad, all of a sudden I would notice that I was having a lot of communication problems, and the result was sadness. I was having a lot of trouble in having control or power over my life, and the result was sadness. So the emotion would actually expand and start to go into some of the other energy centers. Therefore, they would start to lag or slow down. So the amount of vibration or speed that is going into the human for creation and for manifestation speed actually becomes laggy or slowed down. The more that a human intends, because they are a light being, you have the ability to influence light by intending. It's one of the things that we teach in the activations that we do. So as you focus on this light, and as you bring the light through your acceptance into yourself, you can actually start to spin up or speed up a center that has become laggy, and start to kick out the experiences that are held in there just by intending and by focusing on them, you see.
Okay. Okay. So, like, what is the difference between holding an experience or an emotion in a chakra and then just holding an experience in your physical body?
Mm-hmm. Well, there is no difference. If you are holding an experience that is contained in the vessel, it's going to be in that chakra. Yeah. And so it'll be in that area of the body. So if a person has a lot of trauma, let's say in the heart center, they could become caved. Yeah. They could become the hump on the back. They could become lots of tension, muscular issues, injuries to that area of the body. So the tissues and the actual structure in the area where the energy center is become laden will actually start to reflect eventually some physical symptoms in that area.
Okay, so when a chakra has slowed down, when the spin has slowed down, what are
Mhm.
the physical reactions to that?
Well, there could be pain. There could be repeat experiences that make you feel the same way over and over and over again. There could be an intensifying of the emotion that you were feeling. So it would become bigger. After emotions layer in there enough times, and you are ignoring the mirrored results or the experiences that are coming that you think are the cause, and really you're the cause, then that emotion will continue to expand. The center will get slower and slower, and it can slow to the point where some disease can set in, where there can actually be a condition that the universe is now using to get your attention because you have not responded to the other calls or the other things that you have been shown, you see.
Yep. Okay, so when somebody actually clears out their chakras, like there's nothing left but just the energy that's within the chakra, what does that create?
Mhm. Well, that's could be an insurmountable task because a human is experiencing and living in every moment of every day. So you're feeling, aren't you? So every time you are feeling, your energy centers are processing energy or sending or receiving for them. So if you were wide open and say you had a feeling of sadness and you had the mastery in you or the knowingness in you that I've just created great happiness with that, and you were able to just release that, the experience would be immediate. The manifestation would just come right through because it's created in the second that you feel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is our goal to do with for I'm losing my words.
Mhm.
What do we want to focus on when we're focusing on our chakras? How do we want to make sure that they're clear, or do we want to make a goal to have clear chakras
Mhm.
all the time, or
Yeah.
just accept what they are?
Well, when you learn the practice, when you start to feel energy, because as you intend to focus on your energy centers and as you intentionally draw light into them, you will become alerted by a heavy throb. There will be congested feeling that will build in the center in 1 to 2 weeks of doing that practice. As you intend and focus on the energy centers, a heavy throb or a pulse will start to build up in energy centers that are denying flow, that do not have the ability to allow the light force energy in. And so now you have this knowingness, this awareness. I have some congestion here. Let's say it's the heart center. I've had a lot of poor relationships that were dissatisfying to me. I was abused as a child. I've had one terrible close relationship after another that felt the same way, that was disrespectful, that I was fearful in. And so I would have all these experiences that resembled the childhood experience that I had, but I never put it together. I never recognized that I was the one creating it, that I had held that energy from the very beginning that even brought the childhood incident to me that I already am coming in fully loaded with energy that is in my energy centers from past lives and lineage. So all of those things are a continuum or going on. They're coming right in with the being when they enter the plane. And so then I start to recognize now all of a sudden I've got the teaching. It's come across my plate that I'm holding energy. And so as I've been focusing on bringing more light into the heart center, I can feel the heavy pulse or the throbbing in there. I know that I have a lot of pain experiences that have been held in that center. And so I just continue with that focus gently and compassionately with myself until very gradually I start to lift off the emotional basis that is in that. So the intention is more not to know what's in there, because some of the things that might be stored within you might not even be yours. They might be your mother's mothers. They could be lineage. They could be something that you yourself had happen in a past life. The biggest thing is, we always say the proof is in the pudding. If you're having a dissatisfying experience, identify how it makes you feel, and then give yourself the knowingness that that feeling is in my energy center, and it is actually drawing experiences to me to make me feel that way. And the only reason that's happening is because I have an unconditional loving source who holds something opposite of that it is attempting to flow to me, and it is lighting me up, showing me what it is that I am holding that is contradicting what it is holding, that it is trying to flow through me, you see.
Okay, so what is the best way to clear our chakras?
Through awareness, by observing dissatisfied areas in your life. Many people want to blame an outside cause. They might have a lousy drunk husband. They might have a father that whipped and beat them. They might have a boss that's absolutely terrible. We're not going to deny that mirrors aren't real or that they're not uncomfortable to feel. But what we are going to tell you is you are the producer of that reflection. If you continue to blame something outside of yourself, you will never empty the energy center. You will expand the content until you become more and more uncomfortable and eventually sick. That's what will happen. So it is for you to start observing areas of dissatisfaction in your life and become accountable for them, to start to recognize I'm holding energy that feels this way. That's why I'm getting this way, you see.
Okay. So can you help us understand the concept of I am?
The I am presence is I claim everything. Even if I am feeling stinky, if I am angry, if I am frustrated, if I'm irritated, I am creating with it, aren't I? I am being received in every emotion that I am feeling. I am the I am. Yeah. And so as I feel, I am that I am. I am creating from that feeling that I am sending out. And so a lot of people have an emotion. They don't claim it. They blame it. That's the biggest thing that the controversy that is caused is in the outside cause for how you feel. There's never an outside cause for how you feel. Everything that is coming to you is sovereignly created individually by you. No one else is doing it. Even if you say they make you feel that way, you are the one that has chosen the feeling, are you not? You are the one that is sending out that emotion, and then it is creative. You are going to get the very thing in the way that that feeling feels that you are sending out that makes you feel that way. When you say that you think you are righteous or an upstanding citizen because you are out shaking your finger at those that you think are not, those that are racist, those that have done something wrong, what is the feeling that you are emitting as you are doing that? Because that's what's being returned on.
Yeah, I like that. So is there another question that we need to ask about the I am that maybe I didn't ask?
Awareness is everything. That the divinity aspect of you is ever present. It's always there. And the only reason that you are not living the life that you would love to live is because you have been unaware. You've been asleep. You have thought that somehow you are victimized, that somehow there is an injustice, that somehow something is coming to you that you don't deserve. And we promise you that that is never the case. We're not saying it's your fault. We're not blaming anyone. We're just telling you life in the living of it produces emotional basis. And when you can become aware of that and you can start to claim it, I am lackey. I am fearful. I know I am. I don't have a reason to be fearful. I don't have a reason to be lackey. I am using a signal to create something better for myself. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. All right. So you had mentioned when we were talking about light language, you had mentioned about communicating telepathically. So can you go in a little bit more, because I know we're moving into this way of being able to communicate on an energetic level. Help us to understand how that's happening and how we'll be able to recognize that we have that ability.
Yeah. So telepathy relies greatly on trust. So the third eye center becomes important. Yeah. Things that affect the third eye center are experiences where you had not been able to trust people that you should be able to trust, violations of betrayal, those types of things. So anything that would affect your ability to trust, an outside cause has caused me not to trust, would actually deny the flow of experiences in clarity in coming to you. And so telepathy enters the plane. Well, we hate to just say the third eye because the heart center needs to be open too, because it is a feeling sensation along with a clarity sensation. So it's actually applying both of those centers at the same time. So it is to really recognize how good is your clarity? What has your life experience been as far as being able to trust people you should have been able to trust? Have you had a lot of betrayals in your experience? Have you blamed an outside cause for those things and therefore expanded that energy within yourself and then got more and more and more experiences that made you feel that way? So these are the types of observations that one must make on themselves in order to start lifting off or releasing energy. As you just start to love yourself and notice that maybe I'm not trusting. Maybe I don't believe. Let's just use that. I don't have to force myself into trusting and believing, but I do need to make myself aware of what I feel and think. And in that awareness, the divinity aspect of me starts to gain access to me and lifts me up to a level of which telepathy resides at. Telepathy doesn't reside in third dimensional reality. It resides at a higher vibrational perceptional reality where people are exchanging it. There is no offense taken. There is no not wanting to know. There is no reading in or surmising something based upon what you thought the words were that they used. There's a complete knowingness, a complete transference of exact truth that will be received by each. And because they're at a high vibration when they receive it, they never move to any negativity. There isn't any negativity at that level. It's the vibration of your source. It's the vibration of love, of happiness, of appreciation, of joy, of gratitude. When one is receiving exchanges in their native tongue, they are at the third density. And so everything is being used by the mind. A light language does not use the mind. This is not a language that is taught. It is a language that is felt. It is a knowingness.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out how to ask the words. This is what my thought is. So you might have to help me with this. So I'm figuring out, I'm letting go of these old belief systems, the fear, the anxiousness, pain, sorrow, all of these things that are denser energies. And so as I'm letting go of these denser energies, the vibrational frequency in my body is raising. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Well, you're not letting go. You as a human are a feeler and a releaser of your feelings. That's what you do. Yeah. Now the observer, that's the divinity part of you. As you allow the divinity part of you to, if you start to call it in and observe yourself in what it is that the human is thinking and feeling, that's what causes the vibration to rise.
Okay. So once we start, our frequency starts raising.
Mm-hmm.
And we're moving into a higher level of consciousness.
Yep.
Is that what's happening to the universe at this time?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And how many of you could test your trust right now? So for Robin to speak light language was very easy because look at the amount of trust she has to have in doing what she does. She has to step aside. She has to come into this room, have a conversation with you and have no idea what you're going to be talking about. She's got to rely on the flow. She's got to rely. And so she's got a great amount of trust built up. And therefore her third eye is quite open. It's able to receive. And so if someone doesn't trust, if someone hasn't had those experiences, they need to build it, don't they? They need to get themselves to a point where they start releasing energy in the perceptions and beliefs. And they do that by observing themselves where they have them. They don't do them by denying them. They don't do it by judging or condemning where they are at. They do it by just noticing that they have them. And that's what actually starts the energy raising your vibration. And then you get to the point where there's enough trust built up. So the knowingness came, and Robin got a knowingness. She had done the light language through hands. It had been done through signs from the beginning. There would be the same movements on both sides, and she would record them and think, what in the hell are these now? Yeah. But she had not spoke the words yet. And so now she got just the same way as the hand signals come or the mudras come. She got the knowingness. There's light language wanting to be spoken from you. So now she is in the shower and she can feel the impulse or wanting to let this out. And she had to do it. She had to allow it. It's uncomfortable. Felt nuts, she would tell you. Yeah. And so then as she allowed it, as she took the first step in the direction of the encouragement that she received within herself. So there was first a knowingness, it's there. Yeah. And then there was a feeling it could be coming. Yeah. And then there was an actual her allowing the noise or the expression to begin. And that just opened the floodgate. And then the transmission or the knowingness. Many people speak light language, but they do not have an immediate transmission afterwards or telepathic communication. So the light language can come first, but you would not necessarily have the knowingness or what was said with it. That doesn't mean that light language is not beneficial. It is. The high vibration of that language, whether you have the transmission with it or not, is lifting your consciousness. It's actually creating a high stimulation in your field, and it's a benefit to anyone who's listening to it. But as the time goes on and one continues speaking the light language and believing in it, then the transmission will be added to it.
Okay. So when I think of telepathy, I'm thinking that the old stereotypical, I can read your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is that what you're referring to when you talk
Let me
about?
ask you this. Would you like the idea? How would it feel to you if we said we're reading your mind? Would you like
Well, there's always a little bit of, I'm not sure I want anybody to know what I'm thinking.
Absolutely. And that's your right, isn't it? And the universe is receiving you in that. Yeah. But here what you have to understand is at the higher level where telepathy exists, your mind is at a different place. It's not thinking those things anymore. Yeah. And so you have this complete openness because those things have been sucked out or blocked out. Let's use that term, not by you efforting. Not by you being a better human, by you being a human that loved yourself where you were, and you rise to the next level of consciousness where everything is just different. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, will you say that again?
Did that answer your question?
Yes, to an extent, but I have another question. So if I'm communicating, I'm having a conversation with somebody that is of a lower frequency. But I've raised my frequency so that I am communicating telepathically. Can I still connect, or can I still? Well, I guess connect is the best way to somebody that's of a lower frequency, or is it only going to be with people that are at the same frequency?
Yeah. Well, you would contain your knowingness or your understanding. You're not going to change them, nor would you have any desire to or distaste of where they were at. Do you understand?
Yep.
Yeah. So there would be a recognition and an understanding of how they were drawing the conclusion that they were at and maybe the level of consciousness that they were residing in. But you would continue to hold position, or the high level of the vibration that you are in would be held, because you would not have the judgment. You would not have the condemnation or even the thought that they were not where they were supposed to be. Do you understand?
I do.
Yeah. So there would be this total openness, this total surrender and acceptance, and an understanding that the evolution of each soul is an individual path. It is one that is not influenced by anyone else, nor should it be. And quite frankly, most of the exchanges that you would have, you would not encounter dissatisfying experiences at a lower vibrational tone as you were residing at the higher tone. Do you understand?
I do. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of jumping off of the subject a little bit. I'm kind of curious about the crystalline body. So what we've heard as the humans and what we read about the crystalline body. So the more that we raise our frequency, our physical bodies are changing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we're raising to a higher vibrational frequency.
Yes.
So when our frequency raises and we develop, I know it's a human word, that when we shift into this crystal body, what's going to shift and change for us physically in this particular higher vibration?
Are you asking how are you physically going to change or look, or what is it? We're not quite sure what your question is.
All of that. How are we going to change? How are we going to change physically? And then also, because I know that a lot of people have questions about disease as well. So how are we going to change physically? Like, are we going to change forms? Are we going to look different to each other? And then what's going to happen on a deeper cellular level?
Yeah. Well, of course, more light in the body means more vigor, more health, more wellness. But it would be a disservice to say that there won't be a fluctuation in a vibration as a human, even though there's an evolution of consciousness, if you understand what we are saying. So you are still human, and you are still going to be an experiencer, and you are still going to be affected now and then by things. By things that occur or transpire, let's use that term. Yeah. And so there will always be some experience of negativity, but and you can use crystalline to describe it if you want to, but it will be not hung on to. It will be something that is, creation will be more understood or easily grasped. Let's use that term. Yeah. So you would maybe feel negativity, but you would be so aware what was created by it, and there would be no attachment to it or no continued experiences reflecting it, because you would immediately be aware. You become aware. Do you understand?
I do. So, are there any crystalline bodies on Earth at this time in the human form?
Hmm. Not completely.
I know that was just a silly question, but I had to ask. So, what's the difference between the Buddha state and the crystalline body?
Hmm. Well, we would say that they are similar. So if we were to get the definition, sometimes what we have Robin do when she's pondering things, we'll say, get the definition of crystalline. And if we were to do that, we'd like to do it. Yeah. Because sometimes that will depict what it is that you are actually talking about in a little clearer or better way than us trying to do it. Sometimes the definition that comes is explanatory, if you would use that term. And so we would say that they are similar. Yeah. So it is a form of enlightenment. It is a form of a rise in consciousness. However, it is important to recognize that there is no end to the rise in consciousness or to the expansion of the universe. And so the human has the ability to continue to expand themselves in the light beings that they are, without limit, without putting a cap on it. And we would tell you that some of those that are occupying maybe reach a level that they think that's the limit, or as high as they can go, and then they maybe transition. But there are other planes of existence where they would be yet expanded further. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do. So, we're kind of wrapping up on time. So, is there another message or anything that you feel that is really important that you would like to share with us?
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest reasons that we have come is that we want to explain to humans that there is a perfect plan in place. This idea that one has to effort in their experience, that they have to change everything that they've thought and felt, that they have to regret things. All of these teachings in our mind are not effective. That the plan that is in place is one that was made to be in place by allowing, by surrendering. We are trying to make humans re-aware, let's use that. And we do think many years ago, in creation, that there was a more connective time or a more awareness time. And we're moving more back into that, where humans are starting to connect back into the understanding that they can just live their life very freely. And they can understand that through that living and through that feeling, that they are actually able to create a preferred reality to themselves, because that's what's actually going on. You were not meant to come here and to condemn and to judge and to replace and to regret and to think as though things needed to be sucked back out that have been deposited. Everything that you have felt has made you more and has made the universe more. And that really is the teaching that we want to expand on. We want humans to be free, and we want you to love yourselves in that freedom and then experience higher levels of freedom because of it.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for those words. So, Athena Group, thank you for sharing your information. And
You.
Robin, you're back.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you
Well,
for all of the information. There was a lot, and I hope that people can really go back and listen to, number one, how important Kundalini energy is and how it can help us to push out these old things that are holding us back, holding us
yeah,
dense, and then being able to understand what we're capable of doing and who we're capable of being. And number
it's,
one is being happy,
it's
just
true. Yeah.
being able to
And,
get to
that
that
can be
space.
an arduous process by yourself. Sometimes it can take many lifetimes. And I think the group that I channel is really good at assisting people in speeding that process up
Yeah.
in a healthy way.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in helpers, which is the reason why I have this podcast. Everybody to know nobody is alone. There's this team of these beautiful humans like Robin that are here to help us and assist us to get through, and especially the hard times when we feel a little bit lost and we're not sure, what am I feeling and how do I process through it? And that's why Robin is here. So again, Robin, thank you for all of the information. So how do people get a hold of you? And
Yeah. Well, I have two websites. I have the athenaandtruth.com website that has all my free podcasts on a lot of courses that are already created and downloaded. I do groups of 20 to 25 people at a time monthly in group activations. I do individual activations and private sessions. Those are all on that website. Then I have another website called Athena Universe. This is a lot more in-depth writing that comes from the Shiva energy that I channel. And there is an Ask Athena option where people email in questions. Perhaps they don't need a whole session or they don't want to wait for one. There's an option on there that they can actually do that. So those are the two websites that you can reach me on. And I primarily specialize in Kundalini awakening and also assisting people who are maybe having trouble if they have awakened their Kundalini and haven't quite found balance with it.
awesome. Great. So, and all of you listeners, thank you for joining us today. And if you would like to reach out to Robin, you'll find her contact information at the bottom of the video description. So again, thank you, Robin, and thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.